Students, in the last few video lectures, we have discussed about force, how to find out magnetic field using Biot-Savart law and Ampere law, and we have learned force acting on current carrying force acting on charged particle. F is equal to Q into V cross B. We also have learned force acting on current carrying conductor, and it is I into L cross B. And we also have learned about solenoid, toroid, magnetic field due to solenoid and toroid. And in before video lecture, we have discussed about torque and electric motor. So far in the past video sessions, we have discussed about these all. And in this video session, we are going to discuss about moving coil galvanometer, which is application of torque experienced by a current carrying loop placed in external magnetic field. So the principle of constructing moving coil galvanometer is a coil placed in uniform magnetic field experience a torque. So because of that torque experienced by such coil placed in uniform magnetic field, due to this torque, coil rotates. The coil will undergo rotation, and in order to oppose such rotation, we will be applying a restoring torque. A restoring torque is also applied in construction of moving coil galvanometer. Okay, so that is principle of constructing moving coil galvanometer. So what is the principle? Whenever a current carrying loop is placed in external magnetic field, it will experience a torque. Because of the torque, it undergo rotation, and in order to oppose that rotation, we will be attaching that coil with a spring, and that spring will produce restoring torque on the coil. Now the working principle is familiar to what we have discussed in previous video session, and torque experienced by current carrying conductor placed in external magnetic field is M bar cross B bar, which is equal to M B into sine theta, where M is magnetic moment of the coil, B is magnetic field, sine theta, theta is angle between M bar and B bar. The practical structure of moving coil galvanometer is shown in this figure. This is the practical picture of moving coil galvanometer. Right? Now we have a scale. There is a scale. This is scale. And upon this scale, there are some readings. You are able to see these are the readings, and this is 0. And from 0, there is left side. You can see left side there are few readings. Let me consider this as this angle as minus alpha and this angle as plus alpha. And there are some readings over here. You can take them as 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. Right side there are 100 readings. Left side there are 100 readings. And null deflection mean the pointer is exactly at 0. This is the pointer. This is pointer. Now the scale is mounted on horseshoe magnet. This is horseshoe horseshoe magnet. Now this scale is fixed with the screws. Now it is horseshoe magnet, and this horseshoe magnet, upon this horseshoe magnet, you are mounting this scale, and in between horseshoe magnets, you are taking this ring. This is a ring, and this ring is metallic ring actually. It is metallic ring, and this is a metallic conductor. And this metallic ring is able to rotate within the magnetic field. So you can consider this as North Pole and this as South Pole, and you have a metallic ring, and this metallic ring is attached with one pointer. See, from here there is a pointer attached, and this metallic ring, inside here there is a spring, right? If metallic ring is rotated right side, the spring will act force in opposite direction in order to bring it to rest position. Therefore, the spring force will produce restoring torque acting on the coil. And see, this is terminal 1, and this is another terminal. You can take this terminal, connect it to positive of the battery. From here you can take one more wire and connect it to negative of the battery. You can provide some potential difference here. It can be denoted with E or V. So externally, actually in the figure there is no battery shown, but you can take the two terminals and you can connect it to external battery. So when you are connecting it to external battery, there will be some current flowing through this, and current will be flowing through this metallic ring also. The current will be flowing through this metallic ring. And when this metallic ring, as current is flowing in that metallic ring, and it is placed in external magnetic field, it will experience a torque. Because of that torque, it will undergo rotation. That metallic ring will undergo rotation. And whenever it is rotated, the pointer here will be rotated right side if current is in clockwise direction. Similarly, you can reverse the direction of current. If you are reversing the direction of current, the pointer will show deflection left side. The direction of pointer depends on how you are connecting these two terminals. If you are connecting this to positive and this to negative, deflection may be right side. If you are reversing the terminals, then the deflection may be left side. The pointer deflection depends upon the direction of current in the coil. And the magnitude of deflection of the coil depends on how much current is flowing in the coil. More is the current passing through the coil, more will be the deflection, because it will experience more torque as more current pass through. Less is the current passing in the conductor in this coil, less will be the deflection. So the deflection in the pointer, is directly proportional to current passing in the coil. That is how a galvanometer, and this is moving coil galvanometer. Galvanometer is a device which is used to measure current. Very small currents can be detected using galvanometer. Galvanometer measures current, and it is very sensitive for currents, and it is said to be moving coil. Why it is called moving coil? It is, see, there is a coil here which is placed in external magnetic field. Because the coil is moving in the external magnetic field, you are able to tell that there is some current in the coil. And based on the deflection of the coil, based on how much rotation it is making, in the external magnetic field, you are able to tell the magnitude of current. And the schematic diagram of moving coil galvanometer is shown in this figure 2. It is north pole and this is south pole. And in between north and south pole, you are taking a cylindrical structure, and upon this there is coil wounded, and this coil is connected to positive and negative terminal. As a result, current will be flowing through this coil. When current is flowing through this coil, the galvanometer will show deflection, and this is a spring. Okay, spring will always oppose the motion of coil. Spring is rotated left side, coil will be deflected right side. If coil is deflected left side, spring will be forcing it to move right side. So based on that, upon this scale, you are able to see current calibrated, which is on the deflecting scale. This is how moving coil galvanometer principle works. Now let us discuss some equations based on working of moving coil galvanometer. So as we already have learned that based on how much amount of current is passing in the circuit, there will be deflection shown in the galvanometer. I am considering that deflection shown is theta, for which current passing is I. Right? Now there will be torque acting on the coil. Now let us write down equation for torque acting on the coil. Torque acting on the coil placed in uniform magnetic field is tau is equal to m cross b, which is equal to n I a into b into sine theta, where n is equal to number of turns, I is equal to current in coil, a is area of cross section, of coil, and sine theta is approximately equal to theta for small angles. So this theta, which is being deflected for current I passing through the coil, it can be written as tau, which is n I a b into theta. And if there is only one coil, it will be n will be equal to 1. I is current in the coil, right? Now let me take this as equation number 1. Okay. So however, in this case, like if m bar and b bar are perpendicular, then sine 90 will be equal to 1. Therefore, tau can be written as n I a b. Right? I'll take this equation as number 1. And you can just wipe up this equation. So here sine theta, this can be, theta can be equal to 90 degrees here. So as theta is 90 degrees, sine 90 will be equal to 1. Therefore, tau will be NIAB. This is torque due to current carrying conductor. Now, there is restoring torque produced due to spring. Spring produces restoring torque. And that torque will be equal to C into theta, where C is called torsional constant. C is called torsional constant, that is equation number 2, right? Now from equation 1 and 2, we can equate equation 1 and equation 2 because both magnitudes will be equal at equilibrium. Therefore, C into theta is equal to NIAB. I will be equal to C theta divided by NAB. I is equal to C divided by B NA into theta. C is torsional constant, B is magnetic field constant, N is number of turns constant, A is area of cross section of the coil, that is also constant. C divided by B and A is constant. As this is constant, you can write I is directly proportional to theta. Therefore, the current passing in the conductor, based on that current, there will be deflection in the coil. So it is that theta is directly proportional to current passing through coil. This is theory regarding moving coil galvanometer. Students, we are using a galvanometer in order to measure or in order to find out the current passing through the galvanometer. And the current which is passing through is because of external potential difference which you are connecting. Therefore, a galvanometer will be having specific current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity. The current sensitivity of a galvanometer is defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer per unit current. So for 1 unit current, how much deflection is produced in the galvanometer? It is called current sensitivity. So current sensitivity is equal to d theta divided by di. Theta is already known to you. Theta is like we have derived equation I is equal to B divided by, sorry, I is equal to C divided by B N A into theta. Then what is theta written as? Theta is equal to B N A by C into I. So this gives you, if you differentiate that equation with respect to current, the final value will be B N A divided by C. This is equation for current sensitivity. Current sensitivity of a galvanometer is defined as how much deflection it produces per 1 unit current passage. Likewise, you can define voltage sensitivity. Voltage sensitivity of a galvanometer is defined as the deflection produced for 1 unit voltage. So 1 unit voltage, per 1 unit voltage passing, voltage supplied, how much deflection it shows, it is called voltage sensitivity. So voltage sensitivity is theta divided by V. Theta is already known to you, we have derived it. V is equal to I into G, where G is equal to galvanometer resistance. G is equal to galvanometer resistance. So I can substitute that V is equal to I into G, and this gives you theta. Theta value is already B and A I by C. I and I gets cancelled, so finally it will be voltage sensitivity B A N divided by C into G. Only one thing, in between these two there is a difference of just galvanometer resistance, capital G, right? And G is resistance of the galvanometer, and galvanometer resistance increases with magnetic field, and B is magnetic field, N is number of turns in the coil, A is area of cross section, and C is torsional constant. So voltage sensitivity increases with magnetic field, increases with number of turns, increases with area of cross section, decreases with torsional constant, decreases with galvanometer resistance. Right? This is voltage sensitivity. As number of turns increases, see, current sensitivity is BAN by C. Voltage sensitivity is BAN by CG. In both the cases, N is in the numerator. Therefore, as you are increasing number of turns in the coil, the sensitivity of galvanometer increases. As sensitivity increases, that means it is able to measure very small amount of current and very small amount of voltage if there are greater number of turns. But remember that as number of turns increases, resistance of galvanometer increases. As number of turns increases, resistance of galvanometer increases. As the resistance of galvanometer increases, current in galvanometer decreases. Current in galvanometer decreases. Therefore, actual current passing through circuit which is passing through circuit could not be measured. So therefore, as in order to increase the sensitivity, you are increasing number of turns. As you are increasing number of turns, sensitivity is increased, but along with that, resistance of galvanometer also increases. As resistance of galvanometer increases, the current passing through galvanometer magnitude decreases. As resistance increases, current decreases. So therefore, this galvanometer shows less current than that of actual current passing in the circuit. Suppose if actual current is 100 ampere which is flowing through the circuit, it will not show 100 ampere. It will be showing only 70 or 60 ampere because it is offering greater resistance. Therefore, it will not show maximum current passing through the circuit. Therefore, galvanometer is just used to identify current is passing through the circuit or not. But to measure actual current passing in the circuit, we will make some modifications to this galvanometer and we will construct one ammeter. Likewise, if you are measuring voltage, galvanometer can be used to measure voltage sensitivity also. But when we are measuring voltage sensitivity, as number of turns are greater, resistance also increases, its sensitivity decreases. Therefore, in order to measure voltage, we will make some modifications to this galvanometer and we will convert it into voltmeter. So, a moving coil galvanometer with necessary changes can be converted into ammeter and as well as voltmeter. What are those necessary changes? How to convert it into voltmeter? How to convert it into ammeter? We are going to discuss now. The area of coil in the moving coil galvanometer is 16 centimeter square. A is equal to 16 centimeter square, which is equal to 16 into 10 power minus 4 meter square. And it has number of turns 20. The magnetic induction is B 0.2 Tesla and the couple per unit twist. The couple per unit twist is given. The couple per unit twist of the suspended wire is 10 power 6 couple per unit twist is equal to 10 power minus 6 Newton meter per degree. So couple per unit twist mean torsional constant. It is C given as 10 power minus 6 Newton meter per degree. And if the deflection is 45 degrees, theta is equal to 45 degrees. This can be written as pi by 4. Calculate current passing through the coil. We have basic relation C into theta is equal to NIA into B. From here you should find out I. I will be equal to C theta divided by NAB. C value is 10 power minus 6. Theta is 45 degrees. Because already it is given in degree, I am taking it as 45 degrees here. And per degree is, for this C value, it is in degree. That's the reason why as it is, I am taking it as 45 degree. If it is given in radian, you should convert it into radian and you need to substitute angle. N is 20 given. Area of cross section is 16 into 10 power minus 4. And magnetic field is 0.2 Tesla. So calculating this total value, you will be getting current I nearly 10 into 10 power minus 1 ampere. So that means nearly equal to 1 ampere. So in conversion of galvanometer into ammeter, as we already have discussed, galvanometer have very high resistance. So therefore directly we cannot use galvanometer to measure current. What we need to do, you need to decrease the resistance of galvanometer. In order to decrease resistance of galvanometer, we will be using very small value resistor connected in parallel. And that very small value resistor is called shunt. And the process of adding shunt resistor to galvanometer is called shunting. So a galvanometer should be given a shunt. Shunting means that a small value resistor is connected in parallel with the galvanometer so that the effective resistance goes decreased. So whenever you are adding smaller resistor in parallel with a larger resistor, effective resistance will be nearly equal to the smaller resistor. You should understand that. Now in this case, what we are doing, this is galvanometer. Galvanometer resistance is capital G. And what we are doing now, we are taking a shunt resistor and you are adding that shunt resistor to galvanometer. When you are adding shunt resistor to galvanometer, now this total arrangement will become ammeter. It is now becoming ammeter and this should be connected in series. Okay, remember that ammeter should be in series. Ammeter should be connected in series. Shunt should be connected in parallel. Shunt resistor should be connected in parallel. Now, if you use Kirchhoff laws, there is some current passing to this circuit. That current I name it as I. And when current I comes over here, some part of the current goes to galvanometer, that I am considering it as Ig. And some part of current going through this shunt resistor. Voltage between A and B will be same because shunt and galvanometer are connected in parallel. So as S is in parallel with G, voltage through shunt should be equal to voltage through galvanometer. What is voltage through shunt? V is equal to IR. It is I minus Ig into shunt resistor S, and voltage through galvanometer is equal to Ig, which is galvanometer current, into capital G. Now I want to find out this S value. S is equal to Ig divided by I minus Ig into capital G. This is equation for value of shunt resistance. And the same equation can be written as 1 divided by I by Ig minus 1 into G, which is equal to capital G divided by N minus 1, where N can be written as I divided by Ig. This is equal to number of divisions in arm meter. So when like as many number of divisions you want, that much will be the ratio which you will be taking here. So I by Ig is equal to number of divisions which are present in the arm meter. And this is very important equation in order to solve problems. So in order to convert a galvanometer into voltmeter, you will be take very small shunt resistor, and that shunt resistor should be connected in parallel to the galvanometer, and the whole arrangement should be given in series. And the principle here is voltage through galvanometer and voltage at the shunt resistor both should be equal because they are connected in parallel. And that basic relation we have used, and we have got equation for shunt resistor. Now how much value of shunt resistor should be connected to the galvanometer to convert it into arm meter? You will be using this relation, and we can find out what value of S to be added to galvanometer to get maximum amount of current passing in the circuit. And the IG is galvanometer current, and the maximum current passing through galvanometer is Ig, and the current measurement of ammeter is directly proportional to Ig. Remember that. So let me take this equation. S is equal to Ig divided by I minus Ig into capital G. From here, I'll just write it as I by Ig minus Ig is equal to G divided by S. Now I can write I by Ig minus 1 is equal to capital G by S. Bring this 1 to the other side. I by Ig is equal to 1 plus capital G by S, and I is equal to 1 plus capital G by S into Ig. Right? And in this equation, 1 plus capital G by S is equal to constant. As this is constant, you can write I is directly proportional to Ig. Therefore, when you are connecting the shunt resistor in parallel with galvanometer, most of the current will be passing through shunt resistor. Therefore, ammeter does not offer any resistance. An ideal ammeter will offer null resistance. An ideal ammeter offer zero resistance. But a practical ammeter will offer some resistance, very small resistance, and that resistance is equal to shunt resistance. Because see, suppose 100 ampere of current is coming here. Out of that 100 ampere of current coming over to this point A, shunt resistor is very small value. A shunt resistor is very small. 98 ampere of current goes through shunt resistor. Only 2 ampere is going through this galvanometer resistance. Therefore, maximum amount of current is passing through shunt resistor. Therefore, ammeter is said to have negligible resistance because shunt resistance is very small. Therefore, the current which you are measuring in the ammeter is this current, which is actually 98 ampere, like it is ampere, I am sorry, 98 ampere, which is nearly equal to current entering into ammeter. And as 98 ampere of current is not been, like it is not offered any resistance, therefore maximum amount of current is passing through, and that current passing through is measured in terms of Ig. Ig is 2 ampere. Okay, therefore remember that I is current measured in the ammeter, and this current measured in the ammeter is directly proportional to galvanometer current, and galvanometer current is very small value. Therefore, N can be made as large as possible. We have already seen that N is equal to I divided by Ig. Usually I is greater than Ig. Therefore, N is greater than 1. Therefore, number of divisions in ammeter can be 10 or 20 or 100, so on. Clear? This is how the ammeter divisions can be constructed based on I proportional to Ig, depending on galvanometer resistance and shunt resistance which you are adding in the circuit. Based on that, you can construct an ammeter which measures current. And galvanometer, when connected with shunt resistor, act as ammeter. An ideal ammeter will offer zero resistance.